really quick, while I have you. Philo, have you heard about it? Oh, it's the best. They're giving you 25% off 2 months of Hallmark, Lifetime, Up, GAC, the sorts. The movies we're talking about? Philo. 25% off. Philo.tv/DTH. Don't don't let this pass you by. Philo.tv/DTH. Here's the episode.
Yes.
This is a Ramble Jam podcast. Happy Saturday! It's Brad, and I love Netflix Christmas movies.
Happy Saturday, everyone. I'm Dan, and I despise Netflix Christmas movies.
Happy Saturday, everyone. I'm Jax, and now I can officially say I like Netflix Christmas movies.
Wishing you a very happy Saturday. I'm Alonzo, and I am generally pumped for Netflix Christmas movies. And this
is the Deck the Netflix podcast.
I make one mistake
Vindicated.
in 4 years.
Yeah, first mistake.
First mistake I've ever made.
How dare you forget the name of this program?
I know. I'm
It's
sorry.
unbelievable.
That's on me.
Is it
everybody.
released in the Deck the Hallmark podcast feed? Yes, it is. Is it pretty much Deck the Hallmark, but with better guests? Yes, it is. Better hosts, not even better guests, better hosts.
Well, no, not better than Panda.
No.
Not better than Panda,
not better
us.
than
Watch
Panda.
yourself. Better than us.
Just be
No.
careful.
We're not throwing Panda under the bus here. We're saying these two do a better job than we do.
That's
right.
fair.
Yes.
That's fair.
I think
am Panda.
That's right. Panda with a bow.
Panda with a bow.
the real question, Dan, is the title behind you in giant lettering?
Yeah, that's true. Is it? Can you see it from their brand?
I can see it.
Okay.
I can see it. I know what I did.
It's
was wrong.
actually in front of us too. We have a monitor here, and it's big enough to read there as well.
we
So,
have a lot of
yeah,
ways that
we're
we can
high
do
tech
better.
boys.
Guys, how are you? Jax, Alonzo, I haven't talked to you I'm able to see you since before Thanksgiving. So how was your Thanksgiving? Are both of you doing well?
Mine was really great. I was disappointed that you guys canceled on me. I thought that we were recording that day. So, but other than that, I managed to hobble something together, cobble it together, whatever
it
that
together.
word is.
That
Hobble it,
I
cobble it,
hobbled
and
and-
Misery
Well.
style.
I hobbled and cobbled. I've recovered basically from the death of Stephen Sondheim as much as one can,
Wow.
and I'm
Yeah.
ready to rock and roll.
Yeah, I had a nice Thanksgiving. Dave made a lot of delicious food. We had a few friends over. This is always the time of year where I realize that I have said yes to too many things because I've been plugging one Christmas book or other for the last 11 years now. So it's like, oh, you want me to be on your podcast? Yes, I'll do it. And then also just the fact that this time of year for film critics is when all the studios give you this sudden last minute rush of awards movies that will
Prestige
trickle out
dramas.
Exactly. That will trickle out to the rest of the country in like January, February, but we get them all like before the end of December. And then I got lists to write and so anyway, I love this time of year, and this time of year always makes me insane. So
And he's got a heart out at 10, guys.
Got a heart out
I
at 10.
do
We're
have a
gonna
heart
love
out at
that.
10.
It's a hard
Generally,
out at 10.
I'm super chill with like hanging out and chatting, but today I have a heart out.
You know
That's
what's
how
funny
crazy
about
this
that
time of year is.
is we gave you a hard time before it starts, but literally every day I have a heart out at that time. when we do this podcast. Literally every time we record this, I have a heart out at that time. I have to leave or I can't do my other job. So
Right.
we give you a hard time for the thing that we have to do every week, which that makes it better for me to give you a hard time. Weirdly enough.
I'll be the scapegoat
That's
this
right.
week.
I love it.
Yeah, 100%. Very excited to dive into A Boy Called Christmas.
Man, the buzz was real for this.
The buzz
From the time the movie was released, people on social media, in our Facebook group, all over the place were just like raving about this movie. And so I was excited to finally get to watch it.
Would you classify yourself as a boy called Dan?
Sure.
Good. Are you guys ready to dive into this?
Please.
Sure are.
A Boy Called Christmas originally aired on the Netflix on November 26th, I believe, 2021, and it went a little something like this. It's Christmas Eve, and some kids they're left with some older lady. Dad has to go to work. This older lady wants to tell them a story. And they're kind of having a tough time. Their mom passed away. It's first Christmas without the mom. And he's got, got stuff to do. So the lady is there. And she's like, let me tell you a Christmas story. So she tells this story about a kid named Nicholas and his father. They live in the woods. And Nicholas's mom also died via bear. So a good story to tell kids whose parents just died. Mom just died. Each night, the dad would tell Nicholas the legend of a place called Elf Helm, where a girl found a magical place and hung out with elves and helped her survive, basically. And they're telling this story one night, and they get distracted by a mouse that tries to trying to get food and whatnot. And Nick is like, I want to keep the mouse, and named him Mika, and teach him to speak. So Nicholas, totally normal kid. So then the king calls everyone together. It's like, guys, let's hang out. Let's have a powwow. And things are tough. No one's happy. So I need someone to bring me something that will give everybody hope. And whoever does that, big time reward for you. So Nicholas's dad leaves to try to find Elf Helm because he thinks that'll bring everybody hope. And Nicholas is left with his aunt, who's just the worst. So he's like, deuces, I'm out of here. He stumbles upon a map of Elf Helm, how to get there. So he wants to go help his dad to give him the map. And so Nicholas decides, hey, I'm going to take my mouse. I have this reindeer hanging around, so let's just hop on this bad boy and go see what we can do. And they make it to Elf Helm, and he meets Father Topo. And Topo is like, helps him because Nicholas is basically on the edge of death, gives him a little hope spell situation, wakes up, and Topo explains that you have to believe in order to see Elf Helm. So Dan would not see it.
Come on.
So Nicholas believes, sees it, and meets a ton of elves who explain what Christmas is. And the head elf, I think she's the head elf. What would you call her?
She is now the elf in charge.
In charge,
yeah.
Head elf.
EIC.
Not pleased. The EIC. And she's like, humans bring nothing but harm to elves because this dude just came in and kidnapped an elf. And so we don't trust humans anymore. It's a ban on humans. No more kindness. No more joy. No more Christmas. And she sentences. She says, "Hey, you're gonna go to the dungeon or whatever and be eaten by a troll. You gotta do what you gotta do." And so he's waiting for the troll, and he meets a truth pixie who helps him escape and not get eaten. They fly out of there. Nicholas, he's able to escape, and he's trying to find his dad. And he's in the woods, and he sees a cage with the little elf in it. And he's like, what's going on here? And these big bad dudes show up. And one of those big bad dudes is his dad. And he's like, we're kidnapping this elf to bring hope. And the kid, Nicholas, is like, no, Dad, that's not how that should work. And so all the bad guy, he's trying to get the elf to escape. And so they end up tying Nicholas up. But his dad ends up helping Nicholas escape, helping the elf escape. And it's then that we find out that this reindeer can fly. So that's good. And so they're trying to get away, and the reindeer flies, but they can't fully take off with fat dad in the back. So dad just kind of jumps off to his death from the best I can understand. But they fly away. And they make it back to Elf Helm. And they're all so excited to see the kid that was kidnapped. And basically the head elf was like, no, you're still not welcome here. But all the other elves were like, this kid's pretty cool, so we're fine with him. So she goes down to underground for a little bit. See you later. And they show Nicholas some trinkets that they make as like a hey, thanks for bringing the kid back situation. And he's like, these are really cool. Want to make some more? So the elves start making toys
What?
I know. And this, he's like, I'm
Starting
gonna
to put it together.
I know. So I'm gonna bring these to the place to my home, and that'll bring people joy because I got joy looking at the little toy. And right as he is about to take off with his reindeer with a sack of toys, I think this kid might be Santa.
Wait a minute. And the reindeer do fly.
The reindeer do fly.
Oh my gosh. Man.
His name's Nicholas. Son of a gun.
And his mom called him Christmas. Get out of town.
Anyways, he's about to take off, and the head elf lady comes out of her bunker and goes, "No!" And hangs him upside down with sorcery, for the best I could figure. And it's then that she sees this little necklace hanging around his neck, and she figures out that his mom was the little girl from that story at the beginning, and she and the mom became friends, and then she's disappeared, and that's why she kind of isn't super fond of humans. But Nicholas explains how much she loves the elves and always kept the little trinkets with her to remind her and all that stuff. So big elf lady's on board now. Let's go deliver some toys. So the first stop is to the king, and he explains to the king about this whole idea to give kids toys, and that'll make everybody happy, and the happiness will expand and go from house to house, basically. And so the king goes with him to deliver the presents, and everybody absolutely loves it. And the king is like, hey, you should come back every year, do this whole thing. Well, it's just one day a year, you can do that. And he's like, all right, why not? And he goes back to the elves, and they all celebrate Merry Christmas, and they cut back to the family. The old lady's peacing out, the dad is home, the house is decorated for Christmas, and the lady shoots some fireworks in the air, and that, my friends, was a boy called Christmas.
There's a few pretty key details. I want to clear up the last one, which is the old lady is the truth-telling elf.
Pixie.
Son of a gun.
They show you that at the very end. She puts her hat hat slips off and her pointed ear comes out.
Yeah, didn't even think much of it.
And she, that means that ties it all together.
That's good.
That's important.
What other
That's
key
why she's got
details
the
about this?
explosives, because that's what the girl. That's what the.
I
Pixie's
just
doing.
assume that everybody over there has explosives on Christmas. I just assume it's the thing to do.
So
Did I miss other key details?
The rest of them aren't key details as much as like an oversimplification. Like,
Sure. I'm
'cause
trying to get to where I need to get to.
Okay.
Let's say, I mean, he's got a heart out of 10.
A heart out of 10, and we want to honor that.
We want to honor
You know,
the heart out of
when
10.
the big celebrity has a heart out of 10, we try to honor, like, you know,
He's got
having-
2 books to
having
sell
done
to
a lot of
people,
these
so.
events with Alonzo, he's such a prima donna. Like, his rider is like a mile long. It's unbelievable. Everything.
I
the
did
room
not
setup
get
has
my
to be
my
perfect.
scented candles are not in the green room.
And, I mean, listen, he had a wardrobe change during the marathon. That tells you all
come
you
on.
need to know.
I mean, come on.
I got to slip into my jammies. My jammies.
Johnny.
Let's take a quick break. We'll be right back here on Netflix. We're back.
Yes,
We're
we are.
talking A Boy Called Christmas, Netflix, big budget palooza. And it's time for the hot take, where we share exactly how we feel about this movie. We don't hold back. And I'm going to start with you, Alonzo. Alonzo, what did you think of A Boy Called Christmas?
Well, it was interesting that Dan was talking about how there was a lot of buzz on social media from the moment that this dropped on Netflix, because really, this is, you know, that Netflix is pulling out all the stops when they announce a movie a year before.
Yeah, right.
You know,
Yeah.
so like now they've announced the whole that Lindsay Lohan movie that's going to be for 2022. You know, Jingle Jangle got announced a year before. So this one last year, they were already saying we're going to do this, and people love the books, and Maggie Smith and Kristen Wiig, and everybody got very excited about it. So there's been a lot of anticipation for people who pay attention to this stuff. And I have to say, in the scale of big event Netflix movies, I don't think it's quite as good as either Jingle Jangle or Klaus, the animated film from a couple years ago, which got an Oscar nomination. And Klaus is also kind of a Santa origin story.
Sure.
But I will say, as Santa origin stories go, this might not be quite as good as Klaus, but it's a heap better than Santa Claus the movie from 1985, which I discussed on the new episode of the Flophouse that drops today, which I watched again this weekend. Is horrible. So you have to kind of keep these things in perspective. But no, I think this is super charming. I love a movie with a lot of great British actors who are slumming it for a bit. So, you've got Sally Hawkins, you've got Toby
Jim
Jones,
Broadbent.
Jim Broadbent, Maggie Smith. So that's always fun. Yeah, I think this is sweet. I question whether or not you want to show it to kids because there's a lot of dying parents in this movie.
Yes.
But within the first 5 minutes, you really get an influx of them.
And then the hits keep coming. But overall, I found this very charming.
Jax?
So I think that, Alonso, I feel like can definitely back me up on this, that the trope of the manic pixie dream girl is somewhat passe, unless that is Maggie Smith as
an actual pixie.
Actual pixie. So that's okay. Okay, here's what I have to say about this. I liked it. When I say it gave me all the feelings, it did, but that's different than how it's sounding in the preface. When I preface it, I immediately was crying when little boy said he loved his mom with all the broken pieces.
Come on.
Come on. That gives you all the things. I was laughing at Kristen Wiig. I loved when, our boy Nicholas is trying to teach the mouse to talk. And then I was having weird things where I was like, I feel like there's some toxic masculinity with the dad, and I'm annoyed. And then I just kind of got bored for a little while. And then it all came back around again, and I was crying again. So it actually gave me all the feelings.
Good and
there
bad.
was a good and bad. I was bored for a decent amount of this movie and couldn't figure out why, because I know it's a good movie. So I watched it again, and it was the same trajectory. So that's where I'm at.
That's great.
Now I know for sure.
Yeah.
So I think that this movie for me is like the tale of two movies. The first half of this movie is kind of like a fantasy movie, and that's not really my jam. Lord of the Rings does nothing for me. And so it's like, I don't know, this kind of like interesting. It has that fantasy vibe to it. The performances are all good, but then once the reindeer fly and we get Christmas,
and we're deeply grounded in reality.
Yeah. Well,
that's
he told me this before we started, and I think it just goes from fantasy to magic.
Yeah.
It's
that's
like
exactly right. Yeah.
Even though it's still fantastical,
of course,
it goes from fantasy to Christmas magic.
Thank you, Dan. You're my interpreter.
Yeah.
Once the reindeer fly, I get on board with it, and I think the showing us the first Christmas and stuff like that really works for me. There's a lot of really great performances in this. I really liked the little girl who was playing the little pixie. I thought she was really good and very funny. Her timing was excellent. The mouse was a laugh a minute.
Stephen Merchant is
a laugh a minute.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of really good things about this. I'm the type, I've just been conditioned at this point for Christmas movies to look a certain way and to have Christmas trees of lined up in the background and stuff like that. And so, didn't have that. Snow looks great.
Ashamed of yourself.
I'm sorry. So I wouldn't say that this towards the end gave me Christmas feels, but I really did enjoy the movie, especially the latter half of it.
Yeah, I think I might be highest on this movie of the four of us. I do have some problems with the second 20 minutes, which I think is what Jax is talking about. The movie feels overstuffed, to the brim. And you've got so many British actors and so many characters coming in. And the last 45 minutes of this movie is just fantastic. The last 45 minutes of this movie, I was brought to tears by the end of this movie. I thought it was really wonderful because I think while I wouldn't show it to my 5-year-old, I think that there is the thing that we don't get a lot in Christmas, especially on Hallmark and Lifetime, is a realistic understanding of that there's beauty in the ashes. The reason it's okay to celebrate Christmas for some is to remember, for some is to forget, and for some is to dream forward. And so you can do all of that. And this movie tells a really fun origin story while also being magical and fantastical, and also has real emotion and real consequences and stakes in it for the kids hearing the story. And so nothing is as good as a great story. And you get Maggie Smith telling a story to these kids who are personally affected by the story. And when Maggie Smith at the end of this movie, which is my feels, is, you know, there's so many feels in the movie, but when Maggie Smith looks at him and says, yeah, your mom's not coming back, but like, you're the best memory. Like, I mean, come on. Like, what are we, if we're not looking for this at Christmas time, when are we looking for it? Even Sally Hawkins, who's giving the most over-the-top performance. I was reminded, Alonzo, you're going to laugh at this. I was reminded of one Eddie Redmayne in Jupiter Ascending, who's giving like an 11 of 10 performance.
Yeah, these are panto performances.
Yes.
These are like when you go to see Cinderella or whatever at Christmas time, they're acting to the back wall.
And in Jupiter Ascending, I hated every second of it. And in this movie, I thought it was just so fitting and perfect. And so you get all of these wonderful, fun performances. And the first half of this movie is uneven. And Maggie Smith anchoring this by telling, you know, real children this story, I think kind of gives me a pass for that first 45. The second 45, I loved. Like, I loved. And I really enjoyed it more than about anything I've seen from a Christmas movie standpoint that's come out recently. Here's what I would tell you. I wanted to see this movie in 3D on a big screen.
Wow.
Like, that's what I wanted. There's color pops, things are flying at you, reindeer are flying. And I was like, I'm watching this on a computer screen and I want to watch it on a big screen in 3D. That's what I want to do. And I feel like that is as good a compliment as I can pay a movie that has this much heart in it. So yeah, thumbs up for me. I enjoyed it.
Thumbs up from Dan. It's time for all the feels part. Shall we talk about what in this movie gave us feels? Alonzo?
Well, I mean, Maggie Smith. Smith, from the second that she opens her mouth, you know, you're just like, okay, yes, tell me everything. The way that she is with these kids, where she's very blunt, but also clearly very loving. That last line is so that definitely for sure. And I think the feels of this movie is the sort of classic fairy tale, Cinderella, Jack and the Beanstalk, kid under difficult circumstances, perseveres, wins the day, becomes something greater than anyone would have ever guessed based on their humble origins. So that's kind of a no lose proposal, and that all comes across really effectively.
Jax?
I mean, Dan's review of this just gave me all the feels. Honestly, like, I think, I just watched, before watching this, I had watched Tick, Tick, Boom, and I'd watched the interview with Andrew Garfield where he talks a lot about grief and his mom. And then that line really hit for me, that grief is the price we pay for love and worth it a million times over. And, I mean, I'm not even in a particular season of grief right now, but I think we've all been here and we're all sort of come in a collective state of grief. And it really hit. And the line that Dan referred to earlier and that Alonzo was also just talking about, when we know that Maggie Smith doesn't lie because she's a truth-telling pixie. And she is honest with these kids and says, no, you're oh my goodness, you guys, stop. And she says, she's not coming back. But like, this is, may her memory be
oh
a
God,
blessing.
don't you make me cry, Jax.
No, we're not doing
in
this.
the morning.
We're not doing this.
I know we're
He's
talking.
got a heart out at 10, Jax.
He's got a heart out at 10.
Anyway, it's Hanukkah right now too. So to my friends, may your memory be a blessing. I felt like she was also saying that too. And it's, that I felt things. I felt them.
I'm not buying
Moving
it.
on. Moving on.
It, Jax.
Yeah, I wrote down grief is the price we pay for love and worth it a million times over. That's just like,
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
To all of what
Yeah.
everybody has said. There's just so many good lines about
Yeah.
grief in this movie. So I'll go on a lighter note and just say when he's delivering the presents with the king for the first time, and like the joy that the king is experiencing with him was just fantastic. And so that's little sequence of delivering the toys is I think my favorite sequence throughout the whole movie. It just was so happy, and it brought joy and hope. So good on them.
Yeah. I obviously everything Alonzo and Jack said 100%. And as a parent, I think I get to, hopefully live that for my kids on a regular basis. When any small thing happens in their life and they feel like their life is over, it's a joy to be able to say to them, hey, I say it all the time. It's actually a line from a movie, Super 8, J.J. Abrams' Super 8, which is not, going to be super memorable to anyone, I don't think. But in that movie, there's a line that this kid says that I say to my kids, which is, hey, bad things happen, but we still get to live. We still have the opportunity to live and experience and do things. And so when my kid's world seemingly falls apart, I'm blessed to have the opportunity to be there right now, because I'm not going to be there all the time for them. And so this movie does a good job of finding that hope and joy and restoration in death. But on a lighter note, the Kristen Wiig makes a soup in this movie, and the soup is made from poor Nicholas's only childhood toy,
Right.
which his mom made him, and he eats it, which is incredibly sad. But I got to be honest, I thought the mouse was in the soup. I thought Mika was in the soup. I thought she had cooked the mouse. I thought she had cooked him, slam up. I thought the kid was eating his pet. And I was like, oh my gosh, what are we watching? What have I done? And Soylent Green is made of people. And when it turned out that the soup did not have the mouse in it, I was so relieved that we could move forward.
What a feeling.
And I could continue to watch this movie and not hate Kristen Wiig forever. Those are my feels.
Yeah, man, that would have been sad, wouldn't it?
Right. But
There's a lot of great lines from Mika in this movie. My favorite, I think, is when the truth fairy they're talking about death with the kid, and she says something that's brutally honest, and the mouse is like, you couldn't have just lied just one time.
Yeah.
A lot of great lines. Hey, let's take a quick break. We'll be right back with the Wait What's on the What, the Netflix. No more. It's time for Wait What's. I get emotional thinking about Wait What's. It does it for me.
Mm-hmm.
It gets me every time. That's on me, everybody. That's on me. Let's talk about the Wait What's, where we talk about things in this movie that made us go wait what. This is a tough movie to do the Wait What's with.
I've got two. Which I'm proud of.
We'll see where we go.
I found two in this movie.
Alonzo?
Yeah, I've only got one. I think fantasy magic, it's hard to call a wait what necessarily.
What's a pixie?
What?
This girl thinks she is with wings.
My only thing was this: when Nicholas shows up in Elfhelm, and Sally Hawkins is like, no more humans. We had one once who was nice, but then these guys came in and they kidnapped the elf, blah blah blah. Like, I immediately figured out that it was Nicholas's mom that she was talking about. And so it kind of frustrates me in movies where there's just that there's only been one, it's this thing that you're just waiting for them to connect the dots. And so when characters are behind me, that I find a little frustrating. And then, I mean, just beyond that, I think the idea that this movie's notion of Christmas never mentions any of the historical roots of, I mean, there's no baby Jesus in this movie. There's no solstice in this movie. There's no Yule. There's no Saturnalia. There's nothing. It's just Christmas, and Christmas is great, and it can be whenever, apparently, because it's not tied to anything seasonal. So it was. I know the British are way ahead of us as far as turning Christmas into just a secular good time excuse and less of a religious festival, but this just felt like we're not tying it to anything.
Alonzo's always asking for more Jesus. He's like, I need more Jesus in my life.
With the Jesus
Oh,
talk.
you're always talking about him.
Just give
He's
it a
the
rest,
reason
man.
for the season, you know.
That's right. Yeah.
Amen. All Alonzo's asking is, can we just keep the Christ in Christmas, please?
Come on.
For the love.
Kirk Cameron didn't do all this work for nothing.
That's exactly
guys. I
right.
just don't.
That's exactly right.
I'm here for paganism too. Just something, anything.
Yeah, he did say solstice, you guys.
That's right, sure.
Like he
Yeah,
was
yeah, yeah.
being,
No.
yes.
But he led with Jesus, and that speaks volumes.
I
Alonzo.
will say this. I was watching this movie and I was like, man, there really is no connection to anything
No, this is the origin of Christmas.
Christmas
straight up.
in the movie. None, which is wild. But, it
that
stood
day
on
that
something.
elves invented.
You know.
You know the one.
Jackson, wait, what?
Yeah, a couple. I mean, we wouldn't have the movie without it, and it is in many ways, even though I was bored for a bit, a very beautiful movie. But the wait, what we've all alluded to is that, she's telling a very triggering story to children who had just lost their mom. Like it is. I mean, triggering is probably even the wrong word, because triggers are things that happen that aren't necessarily connected to the trauma. This is like, I'm telling you a story
Right.
about a dead mom and your mom has just died. So yes, there's that. Also, I want to know what is so bad in Kristen Wiig's character's regular life that coming to stay with this child that she clearly hates is an upgrade. Like, how bad is it for you? So
Yeah.
those are my two big wait what's at this. Like, I wanted this side offshoot movie where we explore just how is it what kind of situation is it? Is it like a Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory where there's like 8 people in a bed? Like, I need to know.
Yeah, that's fair.
Fair enough. Yeah.
I was pretty shocked at the beginning of this movie when the guy was going to leave his kids on Christmas Eve, the first Christmas Eve that after the wife died. I don't think I would leave my kids for the rest of the life if my wife died. Like, I would just feel too bad. So that caught me off guard. But you needed it to tell a story. So what it is, what it is. I don't know how leaders are chosen within the elf community. But maybe we should just do a recount, a revote or something, because clearly she is significantly more angry than any of the other elves are in the community. Maybe she shouldn't be in charge.
May I suggest?
Brand, do you a lot of times have difficulties with women in leadership positions?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
my,
Brand.
no.
Is this something we need to talk through, Bran? But I would suggest.
Brand's all
you-
lock her up.
I'm gonna.
She's an angry lady. I don't
That's
like
right.
angry ladies. No, Brand,
right.
I'm
Guys,
Yes.
come. All I'm saying is, you know what? Actually, I'm with you, Jax. I'm with you.
I love how somehow we got to turn on Bran over the character Sally Hawkins plays in this movie, who is an just unmitigated villain. Having said that, may I suggest that the leader of the elves is chosen by whoever has that freaking staff.
Yeah.
That's how it's chosen. She's
True.
got a magic Gandalf staff, bro. Like, that's how it's done. Whoever wields the staff has the power, and she wields the staff, and she also is super maniacal. So there you go.
It's Shakespearean in its nature.
right. That's exactly
Yeah.
right.
But
You wouldn't get it because you hate women.
that's fair.
Just
that's
think
fair.
of her saying "build the wall." I think maybe that will kind of bring it
That's
all.
better.
into play.
Thank you. I needed that.
Yeah. That's all that I got.
I have two, but the first one, can we embrace the fact that a group of men, their idea of bringing joy is kidnapping a child?
Yeah.
Can we embrace that just briefly? That they're like, all right, gang, our lives are miserable. It's freezing cold. There's frostbite everywhere. The king asked for some joy, and nothing brings joy like a good kidnapping. Who's with me? Let's go find a child and put it in a cage. That is the premise that these men have for this movie. They're like, this is how we make the king happy. Let's get a tiny elf child and say, look at Dance Monkey. Like, that's what they're doing here. And I couldn't believe that, because when they say that they've kidnapped this child, I'm like, look, there's no way. This guy's dad, like, he didn't know they were doing this, and he's trying to, and then they find him and they're like, no, we're bringing joy. Don't you see the kidnapped child? Like, how are you not on board with
It's
this?
the premise of The Greatest Showman.
Yeah, that's true. Well, yeah, this movie is far better than that one, though. Different story for a different day.
But that's the greatest show.
Yeah, it is the greatest show. And then second of all, you mentioned that the elves make trinkets. Every family makes something different, and one family makes tops. That's what they make. And they bring to Nicholas kind of their first fruits. They bring him their finest tops. These are our finest tops we want you to have. And they are so dusty.
Dusty AF,
Like,
man.
so why are your finest, these are your best of your best. Where there's not a single speck of dust in this town.
Elfhelm has a serious dust
Why
issue.
in the world?
They've been
where have you
hoarding the
put
good
these
stuff.
tops?
Yeah.
Like, why in the world?
That's not dust. That's magic.
Yeah,
It's fairy.
Yeah.
It's pixie dust.
We
or
place
something.
our finest tops in the dust attic to get nice and dusty. So they
Because
don't
these elves don't
embarrass the
deserve them.
regular tops. Yes, I that one to me was just so he could put a smiley face in it like his toy. I'm like, bro, nothing else in this movie has dust on it. You can't just do this. Those are my two, and I felt good that I found two because I thought the movie was great.
It's time for What the Flicks. It's where we wonder what could have been and maybe helping us some clarity to questions that we still have. What are we wondering about? I'll start with you, Alonzo.
Well, I think as with any Santa origin story, you have to take them from where they leave you to where we are now. So it's like, where do the other 8 reindeer come into play?
Course.
When do the elves learn
Yep.
Nintendo technology? When does the Coca-Cola company get involved? All that stuff. I think that's all just down the road. And sure, like I think there are sequels to be made. And I think this is a series of books, actually. So I think
good.
there literally are new chapters they could make if they felt like it.
Lovely. Jax?
Yeah, I mean, I think that I want to know what happened. Was there ever a romance between
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, I
Turner
felt that
and
too.
Mm.
Yeah.
And then in that case, when did
Mrs.
Mrs.
Claus,
Claus
that's
enter
right.
the scene? Or is there an arrangement?
Ooh, okay. That went a different direction.
Yeah, that's fair.
Is there an arrangement?
You guys, I feel like Alonzo might know. Not that you guys wouldn't know, but the movie, I think there's a movie. I know there's a play called Same Time Next Year.
Yes.
Yes, where there's one night where this couple gets together, and it's also
And they go
like
back
a
to their
deep and
regular
lovely-
lives. Yes.
Then they go back to their regular lives, and maybe there's a Same Time Next Year version
Okay.
on Christmas with
Cool.
our true talent.
He comes to
Took a-
London, in the
Yeah.
spring, maybe. Who knows?
Yes.
An entanglement. if you
Yes.
will.
Also, how is the Truth Pixie the aunt of these children? That just occurred
I
to
think
me.
it's just like an aunt, like they say aunt. I don't think there's
Oh.
actually any family connection. That was my take on it.
Oh, okay. I
Like,
thought it was
I call- like my-
the
my
mother's
kids-
aunt, but you're right.
Listen,
My
if-
kids call
an
Brandon
auntie,
Uncle.
if you will.
My kids call Brandon Uncle Brandon. That's what they call him. So he's not their act. That's
Did
not my-
anybody
Wait, y'all aren't
get-
y'all aren't brothers?
Believe it or not. Believe it or not.
No, that is shocking.
It's unbelievable. Biological, not much in common between the two of
Two,
us.
two white guys with beards.
I
You
know.
guys-
We all look alike. There's nothing we can do.
Do you guys like? I wondered if the dad. This is a follow up to your the aunt situation. The dad in the present day. I wondered if he did have some sort of thing, like that was the reason why he left, like some sort of Christmas thing, because then like he come back and the house is all decorated. I don't know if there was something there, I don't know. But my biggest question is this: the Nicholas's dad jumped to his death because the reindeer couldn't fly with him on the back.
Correct.
We know now, of course, that reindeer can carry lots of weight because of the presents that are around the world, obviously, not just a small
But there's
set.
9 of them instead of 1.
There's not. So I do want to know. They're obviously. It would be naive to think that his dad jumping to his death so that the reindeer could lift off was not motivation for Nicholas to get more reindeer to then fly so
Yeah.
that they could lift
Yeah.
more weight. So I do want to know about that, and I hope that it was all done with no abuse towards the reindeers.
Of course.
doing it well, doing it
Yes.
smart, and just kind of how that all came to be.
I love that you're after I called you out for not liking women in leadership positions. Now you're like, I'm very woke about animals, though.
That's
Let's-
exactly right.
That's right.
Listen, women
Well,
shouldn't be in leadership, but don't you dare hurt a reindeer.
There's an old New Yorker cartoon that has like Santa and the reindeer, and one of the reindeer says to the other one, "For a jolly old man, he sure is quick with that whip."
That's right. No kidding. Got a big
Maggie Smith
Rip
would
curl
say the
there.
same thing.
Mm.
Oh
boy.
When wait, you can edit this
Man,
out, right?
I know it's
all right.
Saturday,
I don't
but
know
this
why.
is a deck to Netflix after hours
Man,
over here. Good
getting
gracious.
Look at the Netflix
Look
standards
out.
here.
We have
We're not
really-
hallmarking around. This is Netflix.
This is
That's
Netflix.
exactly right.
My What the Flicks is a question, and you actually, Alonzo, may not answer this, which would take the fun out of the question. But how many Hallmark movies could they have made for this budget? Do you think?
What was the budget? Do we know?
I don't know the budget, but the budget for this movie had to near $100 million, right?
At least,
I mean, with all
yeah.
the people and the effects and everything, and a Hallmark movie budget's what, like $2 million? Like, I was watching this movie going, oh my goodness, this is a feature film with a massive budget. And I just want to know what it cost and just some of the numbers behind, how and Netflix is making plenty of money. We're not worried about Netflix, but just, I mean, this seemed like quite the production. I mean,
Well,
this
think of it
seemed
this way,
more
Dan.
of a production
How many
than
Hallmark movies would you trade to get this movie?
all of them. I literally, this is terrible, but Unexpected Christmas last week is my literal favorite Hallmark
Yes.
movie of all time. And this movie is miles better than that movie. I honestly believe that, like miles better. So I would literally trade all of them for this movie. So I'm not the guy to ask that because, this movie is far out, just, qualitatively is way better than those movies.
I do want to say, and you brought up the budget and Hallmark making the movies and whatnot. And I know this is the 10th episode in 6 days, so you don't need more podcasts to listen to. But Wondery's
and we're helping Wondery out here
yeah.
too.
Well,
so.
what's the name?
Oh, right.
Business Wars.
Business Wars.
They're doing a 5-episode series on basically Hallmark Lifetime Netflix, the war on Christmas, if you will.
Yeah.
And the first
War
episode
for
so
Christmas, I think.
the war for Christmas.
Not the war on Christmas. How dare you?
That's exactly right. Alonzo
Leave
is
that to the
ready to
liberals.
fight that.
That's right.
So it's a really great listen. So if that interests you at all, give it a shot.
Great.
That's
Sounds
all.
good.
Thank
you.
Wondery, a podcast now is a small little startup.
Wondery.com.
Small
They
startup.
wish they were Bramble Jam.
That's
One
exactly
day.
right.
One day, guys. One day,
Dare
Wondery.
to dream.
You wish you had 11 defunct podcasts. Wondery. We did it, everybody. We're going to take tomorrow off finally,
Okay,
and we'll
yes.
be back on Monday. We'll do this whole thing over
On
again,
the
but back
7th
to
day you
normal.
rested.
That's
Back
right.
to normal.
Man,
No-
just can't stop talking about Jesus over there. It's unbelievable.
Alonzo, whoa. Yeah.
Just,
Atheists know the Bible better than most people. I'm sorry.
true. it's true. That's not accurate.
That's fair. Can't wait to see it. Alonzo, God bless you. Everybody else, may we be the first to wish you a Merry Christmas.
Deck the Hallmarks of Bramble Jam podcast is presented by Philo TV. It's produced by Brandon Gray and recorded live in, Greenville, South Carolina. Set decor is by Plum at Haywood Mall. For more information on Deck the Hallmark, you can go to deckthehallmark.com. For more information on Bramble Jam Podcast Network, you can go to bramblejampodcast.com.